Hey guys, today's video is all about personality tests and how they can be used as a tool to help you discover more of who you are. Let's get to it. I'm going to talk specifically about the Myers-Briggs Test, the Enneagram, and human design, but there are countless others out there that are great. But these are the ones that I found most interesting and helpful in my own life, so they're the ones I'm going to share about. I really think personality tests are a great way to kind of learn more about yourself and give you permission to be you in your most natural and authentic way. Society has kind of created this ideal person that we should all aspire to be to. Just kind of this image archetype. But when you discover that you are you for a reason with your unique aspirations and inclinations and skills and qualities, and you feel permission and the rightness of that, I think life just feels better and more spacious. It's kind of like that whole idea of instead of striving to be someone or something else, you're embracing who you most authentically are and allowing that to express in its fullest and most beautiful way. It's just so nice to know that there are many ways to be human and they're all beautiful and justified, and that it's okay to be who you are and it's okay to change. Before we get into the 3 tests, I have a few kind of disclaimers, and I'm going to share with you guys my meta theory on things like horoscopes, personality tests, labels, etc. First we'll get to those. So my meta theory for all this kind of typecasting and labeling and theories and you're this or you're that is that we're all infinite beings, absolutely pure potential, power, beauty, love, infinite beings. But it makes sense that to have an experience that infinity would be limited, just like coming into a human body automatically kind of provides limitations of space and time. So there's like a purpose to having certain qualities to kind of create the ability to experience life in a specified way. So that being said, we might all come in with kind of natural tendencies, inclinations, personality, aptitudes for certain things and desires for certain things. But once you kind of wake up to your infinite nature, you are no longer existing on that kind of astral plane of personality. Now you are the witness and ultimately the creator of your personality. So once you kind of wake up to the fact that you create your own reality, and you can create who you are. So you can go beyond those labels. You're no longer just like a Sagittarius or an ESFP or whatever. You can kind of be who you want. You can be confident or you can be shy. You can be outgoing or reserved. You can be intellectual or just totally silly, childlike, serious. You're living in the moment and you're giving what the moment calls for. You're expressing how you most want to be in the moment. And I think that's our ultimate truth. And so it's just really important when you're going through and reading these things, if something doesn't sit well with you, you feel, that's not me, or I don't want to be like that, pay attention to your emotions, because those are the internal guide far beyond what any website says or person says about you. You are the best source of wisdom for you. And so I think anytime you're going through your results or a test, kind of check in with how you're feeling, because that's going to color how you perceive what you're reading. And then also pay attention to how you feel. And take what expands you, and anything that makes you feel contracted, small, or limited, let that go. Because those are always going to be untruths to who you are, because you're infinite. So essentially the message is to use these tests as a way to empower you, to give you permission to be the most natural, authentic, embodied version of you, to be who you really are in full, beautiful form in this lifetime. Pretty much to every quality, there's an embodied side and a repressed side. So some people, like for me example, might read something that mine says, oh, you're really sensitive to criticism or just sensitive to the world. And I can say like, oh, that's not fair when that person's type is just like super strong, affected by nothing, weathers all storms. And I might think like, oh, I got the short end of the stick. Why do I have to be so sensitive? But you see, each quality has an embodied side and a repressed side, and the embodied side of sensitivity is an attunement to nature and people's feelings that can actually make life more beautiful, deeper, richer, more connection with others in that way. And in the same way, having that kind of more stable, less sensitive side would really offer a lot of strength and purpose and core and stability and calm. But it might, on the repressed side, it might make someone pushy or disengaged or kind of numb to connection in certain ways. And so I think it's really important to know a lot of the things that we mark as our weaknesses are actually can be our greatest strengths if we accept, embody, embrace them, and live them out in their kind of highest evolutionary form. So no one is limited. I'm kind of like the idea, like there are all types of trees in the forest around the world, like which is the better tree, you know, like there's some trees that are suited to certain environments, some trees are this color, this shape, this height, some produce fruit, they all have different seeds, but you could never quantify one as better. They're just all trees serving their beautiful purpose. And I think it's the same with types. If you're ever putting one above or below, one different, that's always like an ego judgment. It would never be truth. That's my whole spiel on all these things. They're always going to be just a sliver of the whole picture, but they can be helpful to help you understand yourself more and then to express your true nature. And I think that's the point of them, ideally. So the first test I'm going to talk about is the Myers-Briggs Test, and I won't get into like the history or anything like that, but there essentially are 16 types, and all the types have 4 letters. And the first one corresponds to your level of introversion and extroversion. The second one is your sensing, whether you're more sensing or more intuitive. The third one is whether you're more in the thinking or feeling. And the fourth is judging and perceiving. So you're going to be some combo of all those types. And I'm going to link a test down below. If you don't already know your type, you can take the test and it'll even show you your percentages. So you kind of have a feeling, you might even sit in the middle for most of them. But I found of all the tests I've ever taken, this is the one that I explained my inner world and so many things that I was like almost confused about myself. Why am I this way? In such a clear form, and I felt really empowered after knowing my type, and it has helped shape my vision, my mission, and given me more grace with myself. And that's why I found it really helpful. I am a INFJ. For those interested. I would love it if for all of these, if you told me your type too, if you take the test, let me know. I love learning about like my family's types and friends. I find that so fascinating. And so all this might be kind of like meaningless if you haven't taken the test. You can always pause the video and then go take it and then check. And then there's tons of websites and resources where you can read more about your type. And I think, yeah, with this one, it's just you'll feel so understood. And I think that's such a beautiful thing because we don't always get each other. And sometimes you can feel like no one gets you, no one understands you and what you want, who you are. But just seeing that you're not alone in who you are and that you are who you are for a reason, I think is just one of the biggest, most comforting things to know and feel. Okay, and the next test I'm going to talk about is the Enneagram. And that is based on sacred geometry. It's actually been around for a long time. No one can really like agree where it came from, where it started, because a lot of different religions and countries and cultures have a version of it, which is kind of cool. And for the Enneagram, there's 9 types, and same thing, you can take a test online and pause the video. I'm linking all the tests and more information about each type in the description down below. But anyways, yeah, so there's 9 types. There is, let me see if I can remember this off by heart. The Reformer is number 1. Number 2 is the Helper. Number 3 is the Achiever. Number 4 is the Individualist. Number 5 is the Investigator. Number 6 is the Loyalist. Number 7 is the Enthusiast. Number 8 is the Challenger. And number 9 is the Peacemaker. I am a peacemaker. That's what the tests I take say, and I actually find a lot of resonance with that too. And kind of, more permission to just be who I am. And you can even, on the website I've linked down below, see how each type interacts with different types and what that type looks like in their most embodied state and in their least embodied state and repressed state, so you can kind of see where you're at there. I think this is just another great test to learn more about yourself. And the Myers-Briggs is very much a personality. The Enneagram is almost more of like a purpose test, like finding your purpose and your core kind of desires, calling. So they all serve different purposes. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and my friend Lindsay just turned me on to the musician Sleeping at Last, and he has a whole series where he's making a song for each Enneagram type. So he's done 1 through 4 so far. Number 2 is my absolute favorite, maybe like my favorite song in a very long time. It's so good. And I can't wait for number 9 to come out, the Peacemaker song. So if you're one of the first 4 types, you can listen to a song all about that. They're just beautiful. And he even has a podcast where he breaks down how he wrote and kind of composed and each song. So check that out, Enneagram. Also, lots of books about it, lots of further information on the web, just another way to learn about you. Okay, and third test I want to talk about today is human design. And this is all about your aura and your energy body coming into this world. And then what that information, how does it have use for you? To know that is basically for decision making. And this is the one that I'm like most excited and interested in lately. It was created by Ra Uruhu, or received by, I guess he went into like this deep 8-day meditation and just transcribed, he heard a voice and all this information came through about kind of the science of human design. And for this one, there are 5 types. So you can be a manifester, a manifesting generator, a projector, and a reflector. I'm a projector. And this one, this test gave me so much freedom. My friend's mom, like years and years ago, she did my human design profile. And I remember at the time thinking like, because the projector, there's energy types and there's non-energy types. So the generators and manifestors, they can all generate their own energy, whereas the projectors and reflectors don't have their own energy source in a way. Like they're more open to the world's energy, they receive it through others. And I remember thinking at first, like, that's not fair, that like, why do I have to be the non-energy type who just observes reality? But coming to it again and reading more about it, I just feel so much more permission. I've never been able to really like hustle in the way that others have and get the same results. I find most of my successes in life, like they come really naturally, and that's for projectors, it's all about waiting for the invitation, like letting life present itself to you. And that's always how things have worked well in my life. So just kind of hearing that gives me more permission rather than me feeling kind of like silly about that. Like, why aren't I just like focusing and getting the job done? But that's really not really my energetic makeup. It doesn't come naturally, and every time I try, things seem to gonna go awry. So for me, I just found a lot of like permission for my kind of energy flow and how I make decisions and how I kind of engage with the world. So the human design is, I think, super exciting. I've linked down below so you can get your full chart, and at first it might be like kind of totally confusing. I think the main things to pay attention to are your like type, look that up. And then looking at which centers are defined. Defined means colored in, and that means kind of more like solid and unchanging. And then which centers are open. Your open centers are more influenced by the world and the people you're around in the moment. And then also there'll be 2 numbers with a slash in between them, and you can Google what those numbers mean for you too, and that kind of relates to your life purpose a little bit. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. These 3 personality tests, I found them absolutely fascinating. They are all those things, like, we're on a bad day, if I kind of like think about it or read about it, I might feel kind of limited. So that's kind of my energy filtering how I'm perceiving it. But on a good day, I feel incredibly empowered by this information. Always keeping in mind, it's just a slice of the whole, and ultimately what we believe about ourselves is what we create for ourselves. So it's probably the same truth with all this stuff. You can make it true for yourself or make it not true. But I think the more you know thyself, the more freedom you have, and the more license to kind of create and move with who you are rather than fighting yourself. So yeah. Let me know in the comments down below what type you are for these 3 tests if you do take them. And I wish you an absolutely wonderful day. May you know yourself deeply and dearly and celebrate who you are. Bye.